So you've done the intro call, you've introduced yourself, you've confirmed the appointment, you've gone through some of the steps to learn about who they are as people, you've tried to learn a little bit about their motivation, or at least some clues behind their motivation. You've learned what you've needed to be able to do the comparative market analysis. You've asked if there's any hesitations, any concerns they have about listing their house with a real estate agent. Do they have a belief of what their home is worth? Now you've gone and done the actual comparative market analysis based on the criteria you were able to find, based on the address you got. Now you have this report recommending a price. Now it's time for you to show up and do the listing consult. We've broken up the consult on the listing side to 8 segments, 8 phases, similar to how we broke up the buyer consult. We're going to go through those phases with you today, and hopefully, again, this will give you some good tips, some good tricks, some ways to get prepared to crush it on the listing side. Step 1 of a listing consult is the home walkthrough. This is something of an expectation you could set as part of that intro call too. By the way, when I show up to your house for our appointment, what I plan to do is have a checklist to fill out about any house, and I'm going to walk through your house, and I'm going to look to fill this whole thing out to get a true grasp of the condition of your property. Once that is done, my goal is to sit down with you and start talking about what we can do for you. So you can set that expectation as part of your intro call. And of course, day 1, you show up, some quick pleasantries, and you say, hey, before we get to know each other anymore, I'm going to get the walkthrough taken care of. Now we'll have an example of what a walkthrough sheet looks like for you to refer to, but using that thing well is going to be really important, because it's not just the comparative market analysis we lean on. Again, it's going to calculate a recommended price point based on the comparables, but we might not have been able to see some things we're going to see with the naked eye when we walk through the house that change what we truly as individual agents recommend. So using this checklist to guide us, we should walk through the house, and essentially we're looking at different dynamic components of the property, and we're going to grade it. 10 being pristine, perfect, desired condition that the public wants, and of course 1 being an absolute disaster that needs to be replaced, and then everything in between. We got to make note of every moving part of this house, and we got to take that into account when we come up with our recommended price we're going to actually share with the homeowners. We very well may discover that this house is in a way better condition than we thought it was, and now we got to take that into account for the recommended comparative market price. So we do this whole walkthrough, and something we might say is, when this is all said and done, I'm going to go out to my car, or I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to take into account what I just saw and update my recommended price. So we set the expectation that we need to sit down and we need to take what we've seen and apply it. And again, I've said it so many times, but this will be a bit of an art form you will learn by getting exposed to more and more houses in your market. That's just part of this thing. It's going to come with experience. But we've taken time, we've looked at the house, we've written down our data, we sit down to take that into consideration for our recommended price, and now it's time to sit down in front of the people and pay attention to them and lean into them and learn more about them. Phase 2 is doing some forward connecting. Okay, I've gotten this done. Now that that's done, before I unveil that, I like to know who I'm meeting with. Tell me about yourselves. I learned a little bit over the phone when we confirmed this appointment. Let me know who you are. And we are practicing our forward connecting, tell me more, going 3 deep, learning about the people. The more we learn about the people, the more information we have to go off of to deepen that connection, and to again have a heads up about who they are, about their disc, about what might be going on in their life that might be helping with why they need to get their house on the market and move on. Anything we can learn about them as people is more power to us. You've heard me say this in past videos, and I'm going to double down again. We should slow down, take time to connect with them, learn about them, hopefully find things in common about them that we might share. That's a slam dunk if we can bond over something we share as interests. And if there is something that we don't have as common interests, Be interested in those people. Learn about their lives. Ask interested questions. Seek to understand them. Now, learning about them will naturally segue into phase 3, which is being able to name that pain and motivation. Again, hopefully with recon from the intro call, we have a bit of an idea, but even if we don't, we want to spend time really going deep and saying, so tell me why we are looking to list. And we are going to use our active listening, our tell me more, our 3 deep, to really go deep into this. If you were to ask me, I think we should spend a large chunk of time on this part of the consult. Because in a lot of cases, there's going to be some serious emotion, some serious pain tied to why they need to list. And it is human nature to want to lean back when it's getting a little awkward, like, oh, that's really personal. If you want to provide ultimate service, it is our job to learn to lean into it. Help me understand this situation. Tell me how you are doing with this. Regardless of the situation, some of the most powerful questions we can ask are, 1, how are you doing right now? And just listening. And saying, tell me more about that feeling. Tell me more about what you said there. And really letting them just vent if it is truly a pain point. Show you care and use that powerful question to go deep into who they are as people. And then the follow-up is, how can I help make this as painless as possible? How can I help make this smooth, knowing the pain point you are going through? And here's where it can get emotional, and I hope you're ready for it. You might hear about a spouse going through medical treatment for a disease and the day-to-day stress that they're feeling about that. You might hear about a death in the family. You might hear that, it could be not a major pain point, right? It could be that they just need to move to a different city, but it could still get emotional because, again, it's where their children were born. It's where they watch their kids take their first steps, have birthday parties and have family gatherings, and it is an emotional experience to sell your house. So leaning into that motivation, that potential strong pain, and truly taking care to let them know you understand the weight of this transition, that can help build a strong bond of trust. The average realtor says, tell me why you're looking to list. Oh, you're moving away. Oh, that's great. So here's my price recommendation. Oh, your husband died. Oh my goodness, I am sorry to hear that. Well, let's help you out. Here's my price recommendation. That is just gross. That is poor service. That is what your competition is going to probably be doing. If you want to stand out, lean into the pain, lean into the motivation. When people feel heard, understood, feel like you get them, that is a powerful bond that your competition isn't going to form. That alone can be what will make or break you winning this person over and them wanting to list with you. When you truly understand what's going on in this situation, when you understand what's important to them, what they need help with, and you can repeat that back to them, when you understand what you're truly serving them about, you can now transition to, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the house and the price I think you should list it for. Here's where we would unveil the report that we get from doing our comparative market analysis. This is where we would say, but looking through your house with the walkthrough I just did, knowing it's in better condition than I thought, we were going to tweak the recommended price range to this, a little bit higher. Or, to be honest, the condition of your home is got a little bit more going on than I thought. It's going to probably be on the lower range of this recommended price range that the report came up with. And again, this is not the time to tell them what they want to hear. This is a time to be a truth teller. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. One thing you can do is get permission from them. Hey, thank you for telling your story. We're going to segue to the price recommendation. Let me ask you, do you want me to tell you want to hear, or do you want me to be honest with you? Do you want me to not sugarcoat things? And again, just about everyone will say, yeah, shoot us straight. Don't lie to us. Be honest with us. And when they vocalize that permission, hopefully it helps with the blow of you possibly delivering an amount they don't want to hear. If you can get permission from them, that should give you the green light to just say what you got to say, for good or for bad. We tell them what we came up with. We explain the logic behind it. The report will often share the comparables. It'll share the science behind it. And now you give your professional opinion on what would be good to list at. Now, your market will often dictate what you should do. You know, if you're in a seller's market, a lot of people think, well, then let's list ridiculously high. One recommendation you might give is, well, no, let's list it appropriately and let the competition of all the buyers bringing offers raise the value of the house. Let the competition drive it up versus starting with a high ceiling that people won't think is realistic and then letting those days on market make people think they can get a deal. The intricacies of the coaching that we're going to give, which is phase 4 of the consult, again, depend on the market you find yourself in and the experience you will gain by shadowing your team members and just being a realtor. But phase 4, based on your price recommendation, is where you give your strong opinion on what they should do. I believe you should price at this amount and give ourselves a better chance to access some buyers who are towards the lower end of the price range because there's more of them pre-approved for that. And hopefully we'll get multiple offers that'll help raise the price. That's one thing you might coach them on. You might also coach them on, hey, by going through the walkthrough, if you want to get your home listed for this higher end of my recommendation that's closer to what you're hoping for, maybe we need to take some time and have you pay to update that bathroom, to fix that foundation issue, whatever the repairs are that might help with the value of the home. Again, here's where we provide coaching that's honest based on the particular home and what's going on and what the client's needs are. So maybe you walk out of the appointment right there with the commitment that they're going to do some fix-up work, some repairs, and that you'll meet later once those are done to get it on the market for it to be able to be listed for a price range that you are comfortable with and that they want to go for. Maybe you just challenge them to say, hey, it sounds like there's a lot of pain, you just need to be done with this thing, and to get this done faster for you to move on with the next chapter of life, here's where we really got to list, and it sucks, you're going to lose money, but that's the truth of it. All this coaching we can give based on the property and what's going on with the client, potential client, I should say. And of course, as part of this, we seek their hesitations. We gauge how they're feeling about that. We try and understand what they feel comfortable with and hopefully walk away with them wanting to work with us. I don't ever want you to win a listing because you lied to their face and said, absolutely we can do that, if you just tell them what they want to hear to win the listing. You'll then have a listing you're sitting on that's never going to sell and a very stressed out, frustrated client. That is poor service. That is a sleazy thing to do if I'm being honest. It is better to be honest, to shoot them straight and have them respect you and have it not work out than to have won the house by lying right to their face. Because here's the thing, they might have another agent telling them what they want to hear, but the market will say who's right or wrong. And as it sits longer, as they get frustrated, there's often a chance that people will fire the first agent and then come back to you. Think of it as a moral victory that'll help you win in the long term. That's how I believe we should be operating as real estate agents. So, after that coaching, again, they might say that we just can't make that work, or we're going to do some repairs, or that's too low. And from there, maybe you part ways, or maybe they say, no, we think we want to work with you. We want to learn more about how this can work. Well, now we go through your respective paperwork. We go through your disclosures, all the things that you will study, get familiar with through practice. Help them understand, again, let's make it a point to be educators. Let's slow down to make sure they understand all the moving parts. You should be able to take each paragraph of a piece of paperwork and be able to sum up the heart of what it's saying and be able to explain that to clients if needed. Be an educator, help them understand the paperwork, get that all signed off on. Get them committed to you because of the quality work you did taking care of them as people, the quality work you did shooting them straight with your price recommendation. And now we're on to, and let me make sure I'm not getting a hold of myself here, that was phase 5 is, right, going through the paperwork, right, getting that all taken care of. Now we go on to the next phase, homework. There very well might be some homework that needs to be done. A property disclosure, some sort of information they need to fill out about the property. Maybe you need to schedule photography to get done. So it's coordinating with them when the house will be in photography-worthy condition. Once they've signed all the paperwork, they've committed to being your client, now it's let's get the homework done so we can get the house on the market. Again, your market, your particular community will dictate what the homework could look like. Typically for us, it's they have to fill out a property disclosure statement about the condition of the home and the time they lived in it. And then also it's getting the professional photographer in there, so can they get the house show ready for the photography. What is your homework? Something for you to stop and ponder and go to another senior agent or experienced agent and understand. So we assign the homework, we set a time for it to be due by so we can get the house on the market for the client's sake. And now, lastly, we talk about the communication strategy. The communication strategy is, again, how can we work together effectively? How often per week do you want me to be communicating with you at a minimum? How do you like to communicate? Is it text, phone call, email? Let's strategize here. And again, here's where we seek some permissions. Here's where we seek permission from them to be unavailable for us to do our power hours, our Pomodoro time blocking. Here's where we also might try and troubleshoot some problems we see come up in the listing process. They might be really stressed out, so you can name right there, hey, I know this is going to be highly stressful, and maybe you're going to have the urge to call me daily. How can we overcome that? What's the best way for us to approach that issue? Here's a chance for you to name the potential headaches you might have to deal with, and with the client, come up with a protocol and approach to dealing with some of the issues that we're going to be running into. We're going to cover this in the next video, but this comes down to how you coach your client in the midst of the house being on the market. Them being willing to be coached is something that needs to be set right here at the end of the consult with this communication strategy period. Again, getting permission from them to be coachable. Such a powerful thing we can put in place with this communication strategy time, coming up with the rules, and we don't say that to them because that sounds gross, but coming up with how we will treat each other can really help the partnership be as best successful as possible. So we do this communication strategy period. We shake hands. They've got homework. You've got what you need. And now off you go with someone trusting their home in your hands. Now it's time for you to go off and get it on the market, get it into the MLS, and get to work. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this has given you a nice overview of how this thing should flow. Again, there's always some of that subjectivity as you use your own particular paperwork, your own homework for your part of the country. But really what this all boils down to, again, is helping those people feel heard and understood, learning their story, and making sure you take great care to let that be at the heart of everything you're doing for them, as an honest realtor as well, shooting them straight with their needs in mind. This can be an emotional roller coaster. Hopefully you are ready to commit to that, because out of all of this, you can create some raving fans that'll set you up for long-term success. People who will think, who won't think a second to refer someone to you because of how great you were at helping them feel understood, heard, and how honest you were with them. So, watch this video again. Study it like so many of these other videos. Get familiar with this process and start doing your homework and research to make you more comfortable with the market you're in and that pricing. That pricing is probably the one thing we get really uncomfortable about, we lose our confidence in. So again, do that homework I talked to you about in the last video. Keep finding new properties that are coming on the market within your team, and keep seeking maybe closed properties that have been closed for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And just practice, 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 and get feedback to get better at the market analysis side of it. That is about the only thing that trips us up, that makes us feel low on confidence. Let's get a confidence boost by doing that homework now. Keep going. If you did 5 houses already, like I told you you should in the last video, do 5 more. Find 5 more listings, 10 more. Keep going. Give yourself a wealth of study, time block study to get better at this on a regular basis, until other team members are looking at you saying, yeah, that looks right, that's when you'll know you don't need to practice anymore. Good luck to you. Keep on practicing, and we'll see you in the next video.